I plead the blood. There is power in the blood. Welcome to Straight Talk Radio.
Featuring my Community Plan Foundation.
It is our world as we see it.
Welcome to the third Sunday of the month. And before we tell you what is usual and custom in the third Sunday of the month, I'm of the opinion there's some growth going on in the country. For example, a white police officer was just sentenced to prison for beating up an undercover black police officer in Missouri.
Who was investigating the misbehavior of the police force towards people that actually do protests? So, yeah, it's a double whammy.
Double whammy. I mean, I'm just of the opinion that all is not as bad as some folk might think it is. And now that we're thinking about how it ain't that bad, why not have a grow moment with Amy? Hey, Amy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and this is a good week to have that thought, Rev, because we had some incredible news as of Thursday this week. After over a year of delay, the state of Illinois finally has moved forward cannabis commercial licensing that has put social equity entrepreneurs at center stage. At Growmentum Lab, we are helping entrepreneurs unpack all the information to figure out the right next steps to make their dreams very much a reality.
That was for you, Amy.
Excuse me?
The hand clap is about the good news you just gave us. Keep going.
Awesome. Yay. Some of what was announced had to do with the dispensary licensing, which was started and paused for litigation reasons last fall. And then for the first time since the application submission, those who applied for craft grow, infuser, and transportation licensing were directly notified as well. And from what it looks like, not counting the dispensary licensing, the state is boasting that it is truly delivering social equity. Of the 213 licenses issued, 67% of them are majority owned by people of color, which included 98 majority black owned, 19 majority Latin owned, and 34 majority women of color owned.
34 majority women of color owned. Now, that should be 51% if you really want equity, but I'll take what I can get.
Yep, you're right. Dispensary statistics are still unknown because the announcement has set out new standards to licensing through a three-tiered lottery system for a total of 185 rather than only 75 outlets. What's more, we learned that by the end of this calendar year, the state will announce an additional 60 each craft grow and infuser license winners. Within a month, we will have 400 new business licensed, with another 120 on the way. All right. We are sending out to our followers a reference guide to clarify and provide resources for next steps. And on this Tuesday, the 20th, we are hosting a hybrid in-person and Zoom event to provide support. Please be in touch if you want to be included at www.growmentumlab.com, and let's get growing.
So you just need to know the engineer in the house. We're so happy that OK is with us again, because when he's not here, posting in real time is a challenge for everybody else. So thank you, Amy. That is Cause to Grow. We really do appreciate it. It is the third Sunday of the month. It seems like only yesterday.
That's right.
Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle was with us.
Yes. But we're so glad to have her back. Welcome, Madam President, to Straight Talk Radio.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to be with you this evening.
Well, we're all excited. You heard the grow moment. We're excited that in that space, one of your key concerns, and that is equity in and around Cook County, seems to be growing and growing even more.
I think it's important to remember the context of this. When did marijuana become legal? At the beginning of this year, is that right? Or is it the beginning of last year? Help me out.
Last year.
All right. What happened is, as our listeners will recall, is that those who were already in the arena providing medical marijuana dispensaries had the first crack as we legalized marijuana. And those were entirely majority firms.
So this
and
is
I'm
straight talk.
grateful
This
that-
is straight talk, Madam President. Now, look, you coined the pandemic of racism. So we're not interested in majority firms. We're talking straight white folk were already in medical marijuana, and when
Right.
recreational marijuana was legalized, more white folk got to sell legal marijuana, or at least contend for it.
Right,
So
and I don't think there was a single black or brown firm in that
was
first
not
round.
a single black or brown, which made every black legislative caucus, whether it was at the city level or at the state level, hornet wet mad. That's pretty angry.
Yes, so I am grateful that they have gotten to the point now, whatever it is, a year and a half after the first firms were able to go into the arena. But, the problem is that, I won't say the market's cornered, but a lot of the most, advantageous or, probably income-producing sites have already been swept by those white firms. And so, we're coming into the arena, and I'm very grateful that people had this opportunity. We shouldn't forget that, frankly, this was bungled. So,
Well,
in terms of opportunity for black and brown people.
in terms of opportunity for the selected group, it seems, and I don't want to cause any rifts, but I do want to say this. The two major initiatives, whether it was Illinois Solar for All or the cannabis legislation, both of them benefited white folk more than black folk. Cook County had one Illinois Solar for All initiative. MCP happened to receive it, but we had just one. And if I'm not mistaken, Madam President, we have the largest number of low and moderate income households. Mm-hmm. So how then does Cook County get one Illinois Solar for All program? How does that work? How does it work that MCP is the only African-American led entity with solar initiatives? How does that work? Just like the marijuana scenario, I know the legislative intent was sound and logical, but the application of the legislation always seems to benefit the same people.
That is why we talk about systems.
Right. That's why you talk about systemic racism. But I think you have to be intentional about equity. That has to be part of your thinking. It has to be part of your framework. And if you don't put equity at the center of what you're doing, you end up with the outcomes that you just described.
And I think that's one of the things that you have been a leader in and pushing, even within Cook County, to make sure that at the center of everything, every policy, that there's equity, and I think that's commendable, because it cannot be an afterthought to think about all the other peoples that are within Illinois geographic space whenever it comes to policy implementation. It shouldn't be that some group of people have to now lobby to be seen or kind of like yell and shout. But I think what part of what you are saying is that everybody should be at the table from the get-go. And
I think she's saying a little more than that. I know OK wants to jump in here, but Madam President, I would dare say you're saying a little more. What she also says, and even in some of the legislation coming out of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, they intentionally target communities that were marginalized or didn't participate in development projects. That's more than just being equal to everyone. That's making sure those who legally couldn't get it finally get it. And in fact...
And then, what KK said is that everyone has to be at the table. So when you're asking the question, how is it? Some people are probably listening to this and thinking, oh, you're just asking the legislators or the government, how is it? But part of it is our people have to step up. When you hear about this, don't sit down and think they're talking to somebody else or somebody else is going to do it. We are asking you, if you are interested in the business, if you want to be part of that business, if you want to help solve the problem, step up. Don't wait for the government to come and chase you down.
Like someone who has sat at the
you.
foot of Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle. Listen, this is Straight Talk Radio.
Featuring My Community Plan Foundation.
Our world as we see it.
Continues with Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle. It is the third Sunday in the month, but we still got to pay some bills, so we'll be right back after these short messages.
It all starts with one meal, one cup of fresh water, one generous person. Sakat Foundation of America puts humanity above all else, working to help as many people as possible with food security, emergency relief, education, and much more. From Chicago to Bridgeview, California to New York, Cambodia to Colombia, Sakat Foundation of America has been on the ground for nearly 20 years to provide immediate and sustainable aid so people in need can become self-reliant. Visit zakat.org for more information. That's zakat.org.
YWCA Metropolitan Chicago has partnered with a global manufacturing company seeking to fill open positions in their South Suburban location. No experience required. If interested, contact 773-902-8989. Email cbcf@ywcachicago.org.
Since 1994, New Life Health Food has been committed to providing affordable, healthy lifestyle options to the people of Chicago. We're already known as the home of the $1 alkaline water refill. We are now the home of CMOS, including gel, liquid, powder, capsules, raw, and gummies. We're located in Chicago at 3141 West Roosevelt Road. Call 773-762-1090 or go to nlhealthchicago.com and use the discount code for 10% off.
Hi, this is Reverend Mitchell L. Ikenna Johnson.
I am Dr. KK Odeluga. I am OK Okachukwu.
I am Committeeman Sean Tenner.
You're listening to Straight Talk Radio,
featuring My Community Plan Foundation, our world as we see it,
on WVON
1690 AM.
the talk of Chicago. I would sing All Is Well, but I'm informed not to do that. Welcome back to Straight Talk Radio.
Featuring My Community Plan Foundation,
Our world as we see it, with Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle. Madam President, welcome to the program. And as we start this off right, why don't we start off with the road to recovery?
Well, listen, I'm very grateful to Congress and to the President for the American Rescue Plan. We're going to get $1 billion in resources to support recovery in Cook County. We'll continue with some of the programs that had so much success under the CARES Act last year, things like rental assistance and mortgage assistance so that people don't lose their homes or get evicted. We'll be investing in small businesses as we did with CARES Act money. And in suburban Cook County, where this money has to be allocated, those are businesses of 20 employees or less. We'll be providing probably direct assistance again to some of our neediest families. We did a little of that along with the federal government in the last round. And we'll be looking to support our social service agencies that assist the homeless and provide other services, including affordable housing. So we've got a pretty full plate of things that we might do that follow on from last year, but we're also trying to figure out what big initiatives we can pursue that will have an impact on recovery. It's probably once in a lifetime opportunity for local governments to make investments in their local units of government, their cities, towns, and villages, and we are going to be very thoughtful about that. And again, put equity at the center of what we try to do.
So here's a question I have for you. I know that some of those dollars are going to go to suburban communities, but my question is, we have startup companies in the suburban areas, and this past week, a couple of our solar projects have been fully funded, and I want to say as early as tomorrow, we'll start vetting entities for past performance and capacity to train and install solar panels, etc. So the question is, some of these startup entities that may get a contract but have no cash to proceed, are there going to be any monies available for them?
That's not something that we did with CARES Act money, but it's surely something we're really willing to consider for the American Rescue Plan. We worked closely with assist agencies, so in the African American community, organizations like the Urban League, in providing assistance to small businesses with CARES Act money last year. But we haven't fully fleshed out what we're going to be doing with American Rescue Plan money. Now, we've gotten half of the money that's be coming to us over the next 3 years. We have to allocate it by the end of 23. I think it's December, so it's 2.5 years, December 31st of 23. I think that's right. Well, maybe it's 24. In any case, we've got to have it allocated in the next couple of years and then spent within 5 years. So we've got some time to kind of put together the plans which we think will have the greatest impact. And that's one of the things we're working on this summer. So at the July board meeting, which is in a couple of weeks now, what we'll be doing is kind of putting together the framework for how we're going to look at these expenditures and the guardrails to be sure that we comply with all the federal requirements, because we don't want to be in the position where we have to return dollars to the federal government because they decide that we haven't spent them according to their requirements.
So we're going to make sure that does not happen as best we can. So are you telling me that there's going to be an open discussion to the extent it exists at the next Cook County board meeting?
Yes, the next Cook County board meeting will include a discussion of what we call our framework plan for distribution of money. So we're not authorizing particular specific expenditures. We're saying, here's kind of the frameworks that we're going to be looking at. So here's some examples. Now, we're still working on this, so please don't take this as our last draft. But so one of the things we need to look at is what big ideas can we invest in that are going to have an impact. And the one that I always turn to, and we've talked about many times, is broadband. As long as a quarter of our households have no access to broadband, which means our young people can't do remote learning at home, people can't apply for jobs out of their home. If you have a small business that you operate out of your home, you can't do that if you don't have broadband access in your home. So broadband access is one of those big investments that we'll be undoubtedly making. It's just a question of the magnitude that we know will have an economic impact on our residents who are presently without broadband access at home. So that's one big idea. We've also talked about demographic groups that we need to focus on. So in suburban Cook County, we know that we need to focus on the Southland, because that's the part of the county, and we've talked about this many times, that's the part of the county that has been most challenged historically, where there has been disinvestment, marginalization, all the things that Black and brown communities struggle with. So we need to focus our attention on addressing past wrongs. So that's a demographic part in terms of geography. But we also need to focus on particular parts of the population that we know are particularly vulnerable. And you and I have talked, we've all talked about the importance of being sure that young people get a foothold in the economy. And so we might focus resources, for example, on the population 16 to 24, sometimes 18 to 24 is the mark, who are out of school and out of work, and be sure that they have a foothold in the economy and a path to productive adulthood, because those are critical years in terms of your ability over time to be employed and to advance in your career. So those are some examples, thinking of big ideas, looking at particular parts of the county geographically that we need to invest in, looking at particular age groups that we need to concentrate resources on.
And so, Madam President, if I may chip in, because this is already an area that you are strong in, which is healthcare, and one other area is public health, strengthening the public health infrastructure, because one of the things the pandemic have really shown us that yes, we will have one of the best health facilities that is being run by the county. But in terms of public health, the Cook County Public Health Department can only do so much if the suburban municipalities do not even have any kind of public health infrastructure set up within their own localities.
Right.
So it will be something to maybe allocate some resources where the Cook County Department of Public Health Department can also assist municipalities to establish public health infrastructure. So it will be easy. For example, the vaccine distribution will be a lot easier if we have networks in municipalities. Disease monitoring and control will be a lot easier. Especially where municipalities are struggling, they don't have health commissioners in most of those municipalities. So that is one area that will surely benefit the health of the community. The Cook County, and that's up. You guys are doing phenomenal work, which, is first rate as far as I'm concerned.
Well, let me say, what we've discovered in Cook County is what we've discovered across the country, to your point, and that is over time, local units of government, state governments have not invested in public health in the way that they need to. And I'm not talking now about hospitals and clinics, but for example, community workers who, have in the past have focused on things like AIDS, the AIDS epidemic. And we discovered as we were struggling with the pandemic that we had underfunded for a long time our Department of Public Health, and we had to ramp up hiring to do contact tracing at the beginning of the pandemic, and now to encourage people to get vaccinated.
Yes.
So first we were trying to track the disease and be sure that people knew that they were exposed and could take the proper precautions. Now, of course, we're just trying to drive people to the vaccination sites. But we didn't have the staff on hand to do that work, and it wasn't just us. It was, I'm not proud of the fact that I discovered in the course of the pandemic how little we were investing in public health, and we've been working to address that, and that's where some of those resources are going to have to go for sure. But this is true across the country. It's not just the city of Chicago.
That's right. Mm-hmm. But I see that as a strong pillar, because once that is really in place, that completes the whole healthcare infrastructure that you have put together within the Cook County, with John Stroger, with the clinics, and with the public health department. The municipality is being strengthened to be able to assist the county in that work will be really awesome.
Well, thanks.
Go ahead.
I tell you, I don't control the local units of government, and as you say, it would be helpful if they had their own departments of public health, but we can try to strengthen the county's Department of Public Health to kind of deal with that gap.
And as you know, Cook County's public health system has over the years been the place where healthcare professionals come to train without exception.
That's right.
That's just what it is. But I also want to.
I should say that we're a national and international center for training of doctors and healthcare professionals. We have an alumni network that's all across the country, and actually one of the things we need to do is connect with those folks and get them to come back and support our health and hospital system since they receive such excellent training there. But
I think, Madam President, I'm going to jump on your words for a second because you've got an alum sitting right across from you.
No, she's speaking my language.
I know that.
No, I mean that.
She's talking to you right now. So normally you challenge Madam President.
No,
and she always takes notes and comes back with her homework completed.
Right.
Today, I think you received the challenge, you could reach out to her offline. I'm sure she'll receive all the work you need to do.
Definitely, and that's one of the things I appreciate about Madam President, because she's really thinking outside the box. Nobody, after how many years I've been out of county, has ever reached out to me to say, hey, we got a little foundation where you could put money to help continue the work. Many of us will give back to county because the county has been a blessing to us.
All right, and you have my cell phone number. I hope you'll get in touch with me offline, because I was talking to the foundation leadership this week. We're having a big gala in the fall, and we definitely need to plug into our network of folks we've educated over time. So
wonderful. Yes, I'll get in touch with you.
Speaking of plugging in, I can't think of a better time to remind our listening audience, you're listening to Straight Talk Radio,
featuring My Community Plan Foundation.
Our world as we see will be right back after these messages with the President, Cook County Board of Commissioners, President Preckwinkle.
Supreme Solutions Incorporated, an SBA and HubZone certified business offering program management, acquisition support, information technology, including data analysis, application development and cybersecurity, systems engineering, financial and budget support, training support, and logistics services. Supreme Solutions has been providing seasoned, experienced professionals since 2004, assisting on governmental projects on local, county, state, and federal levels. They're projected to become one of the nation's leading professional services firms. Call the experts at Supreme Solutions Incorporated at 773-530-7092. That's 773-530-7092.
Chuck Haven's Banquet Hall, the Southside's best party and meeting venue, 14844 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Dalton, Illinois. Chuck's Haven's Banquet Hall, the best place for creating memories. Bring your events to Chuck's. Birthdays, baby showers, wedding receptions, corporate events, pop-up shops, repasts, and anniversaries. Call 708-849-2100. One more time, 708-849-2100 to book an appointment. Visit Chuck's Havens on the web at chuckshaven.com. You'll be glad you did.
Are you looking for a new career? YWCA Metropolitan Chicago has partnered with a global manufacturing company seeking to fill several roles in their South Suburban location. No experience required. They're seeking to fill the following positions: assembly operator, automation technician, molding operator, quality inspector, setup technician, forklift driver, cycle counter, material handler. If interested, contact 773-902-8989. Email cvcf@ywcachicago.org.
I'm Congressman Danny Davis, and you're listening to Straight Talk Radio, featuring my Community Plan Foundation on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back to Straight Talk Radio,
featuring my Community Plan Foundation.
The world as we see.
This is the third Sunday in the month. That means we have Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle. Listen, whatever you do, don't leave. Stay around for the entire segment and the next one, because the last segment is the action segment. We're still in straight information. Welcome back to the program, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Glad to be with you.
There are a couple things that we want to do. Let's go back to your time on the tarmac, is what I'm calling it now.
Oh, like 2 weeks ago.
Time on the tarmac. Oh,
all right.
Yes, ma'am. You spent some time. Were you taking off? What were you doing?
Well, I'm very grateful. As you're aware, a couple weeks ago, President Biden was here in Illinois, I think for the first time since he was elected, and went to Crystal Lake in McHenry County, but stopped at O'Hare. And Mayor Lightfoot and I met him at O'Hare Airport. By the way, Air Force One is a mighty big plane. It's a regular 747, and they open up the door and one person comes out. But anyway, so we met the president on the tarmac, and both Mayor Lightfoot and I had a minute or two to talk to him. I thanked him for his work on vaccine production and distribution. I mean, we are not where we need to be in this country in terms of vaccines. We can talk about that a little later. But the fact that the president made that his first priority and devoted so much federal resources to this has been a godsend to all of us at local government. We could not have vaccinated, as I said earlier, I think 60% of our residents in Cook County without this federal effort. And I just wanted to take the time to express my appreciation. So that was that opportunity, and I'm grateful for it.
As are we. And I was going to wait until the action portion of the program, and you brought up this administration's approach to COVID has been and continues to be phenomenal. I know there are some members of my Community Plan Foundation and our friends who want to talk more business, and business is good. But let me say this, if your communities are not vaccinated, then you may have no business, because there's a new strain that seems to be affecting people who are not vaccinated. Here's a surprise, significantly with more challenges than those who are.
That's right. And this wave that we are going into now is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
So
exactly. And let me just say, although the average across the county is 60% vaccination, the rates among communities are different. So the highest vaccination rates are Asian Americans, and the lowest are us. I think the vaccination rate in the Asian American community is 74%.
Wow.
From the Black community, it's about 40%. Although we have a lot of work to do. And whenever I speak about this, I say, we can't let our guard down. Not only do we need to be vaccinated ourselves, but we need to be evangelists for vaccination and talk to our family and our friends and anybody we come in contact with about the importance of vaccination. Because our communities were devastated. Our infection rates in the brown and black communities were twice what they were in the white community, because we have so many underlying health challenges. And the death rates, especially in the black community, were twice as much. I mean, it is, I don't know, it's one of the most frustrating things about my job at the moment is the continued hesitancy in particularly my own tribe, African Americans, but also in the Latinx community around vaccination, because I know the devastation that our community suffered the first round, and now here we've got this second variant, as the doctor said, which is more contagious, and there's some evidence, more potent and causes more damage. So to those who unfortunately are infected.
So there are two things, Madam Preckwinkle and Dr. KK, I want to address. Mm-hmm. The first one is these horrible numbers. Riverdale, 16% vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Phoenix, 23%. Sauk Village, 18%. University Park, 9%. Burnham, 18%. Now, these are going to be the areas that will be hit the hardest.
10%. 11, Fort Heights, 12%.
All right, now let me just say, one of the things that we've tried to do is be transparent and provide data. So you can go on our website and do exactly what you've done, mm-hmm. which is figure out what the vaccination rates are by local unit of government. You can also find it by zip code. Now, that's important for everybody to know, because as I said, if you think, okay, well, 60% of the people are vaccinated, that's great. Well, if 74% of Asians and about 60-something% of whites are vaccinated, but only 40% of African Americans across the board, and as you say, in some of these communities, it's the low double digits. Mm-hmm. As you say, 10% in some communities. That's a disaster waiting to happen, and that Delta variant is coming this way. It's mm-hmm. coming from Missouri, where they're having a terrible problem, and they have really low statewide vaccination rates. But it's not going to stay in Missouri. We have a border with them. That there's no there are no border crossings. And
for the COVID,
the virus is going to come to us from places where it's already strong, and we're going to be faced with real challenges.
So let's go ahead and do something a little different, because we normally save action for the last segment. So right now, let's talk about some action. In MCP, on yesterday with CPR, we announced that
is the Chicago Pastors Rally.
Chicago Pastors Rally, whose members are members of My Community Plan Foundation. And they took the challenge to go door to door in communities with these abysmal numbers starting in August. And our great friend, Khalil Damar with the Zagat Foundation of America, decided at the moment he heard that to team up. Reverend, whatever we can do, every resource we have, will make it available to you and will walk with you for that purpose. Why would that be? Because Bridgeview, 37%.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's an area of our county where there are a number of people who are of the Muslim faith, Arab Americans, and that's a vaccination rate which is pretty comparable to African American communities. So
that's right.
Yeah, we have some real challenges.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, we know, Madam President, that you delegate individuals in the healthcare system to address outreach and the like. So we're going to talk with you offline and help formulate a strategy that we're going to do for the entire month of August.
It's going to be a campaign. It has to take every pulpit, every trusted voice in Illinois, in Cook County. It's got to be a gospel message, good news. Because, when we were in the middle of this pandemic, everybody was feeling down because we were helpless. We didn't, as in the medical community, we didn't really have experience what to do. Then all of a sudden, God delivered to us very effective vaccine at such a short time. And everybody was happy that this is going to be the way out of this whole pandemic. Now, anybody who is listening to my voice, please, when you finish talking to people on the phone, before you drop, ask them, have you gotten the shot?
So you said something about God delivering something quickly, and I know people will always go to quickly, that we never really get anything quickly. But I have a question, since this is Sunday and we're talking about church service and preaching. I'm thinking, if you read the book of Genesis with the Exodus and the people were getting bitten by snake in the desert, it was pretty quick for Moses to put up a serpent for them to look on so that if you look at the serpent, you will get vaccinated and get yourself killed.
That's right.
So if you don't take this vaccine, just like those people who died in the desert, not taking the information that was available and actually not taking the treatment that was available, it will be your fault.
And let me say this, Madam President, there are some legitimate concerns about some of the challenges with the vaccines. They're legitimate, so let's not poo-poo them away, whether it is this, what is this, Guillain-Barré syndrome? Am I mispronouncing that?
Guillain-Barré.
They're legitimate. However, here's another legitimate fact. If you have any of the 3 major vaccines, guess what? You're not going to die from COVID. Chances are you're not going to. Let me say
That's
that.
the point.
90% of the new hospitalizations from COVID-19 are people who have no vaccination whatsoever.
Period.
End of discussion. So I don't want to poo-poo anyone's concerns about what might happen, but let me tell you what is happening. You get the dad blame shot, you're not going to the hospital. You may get ill, but the hospital you're not going to. Let me tell you what is going on. 90% of the people in hospital today with COVID-19 have gotten no shots.
That's the point. Which means the shot that has been received by more than 160 million Americans is working. And 160 million,
is Pastor Ronnie listening?
But you see, the thing though is we have to engage the community in conversation. And I know things have happened in the past, but this time is not the same because there's been a methodical approach to the way it was developed. And a lot of our own people, black and brown people, Latinx, are involved. We're involved in not just the development, but also the manufacturing, the trials, and the distribution. And so it's no longer like, maybe somebody's trying to hand something over to us. No, this is something that we should own as a solution to us continue to keep our communities open.
So let me say this, Madam President, I know this is your show, but I know you will agree this is extremely important topic that we just have to remove some of the emotion and let the probative value take its weight.
Well, I'm very grateful because wherever I go, whatever I'm speaking about, I always talk about vaccinations. I was at the auto show on Thursday night as we had the Street Fest that opened the auto show, and I talked about vaccinations because we can't have large gatherings like that, particularly in light of the Delta variant that's coming our way, unless people are vaccinated, because otherwise they'll be, centers of contagion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There'll be hotspots. So if we want to resume, our normal life, we want to be able to go to concerts, we want to go to get ball games, and we want to go to things like the auto show, we've got to up our vaccination rates. And so, as I said, wherever I go, whatever the subject matter of the moment, I always talk about vaccinations because that's just so critical. And it's not just economic, opening up our economy. It's the basic health of our residents, the basic health of our community. And as I said, I am extremely frustrated and disturbed that we don't have higher levels, and committed to doing everything I can to up vaccination rates.
On occasion, I do, and I've worked on a podcast with Maureen Mo Forte, double elected official, I think a trustee board, and I think she's also a trustee for Hazelcrest. And she asks the question, so you can go online, if you're listening to this program, you can go online to the Cook County website and you'll find these numbers. But just for you, Maureen Mo Forte, who poses the question, let me tell you, Hazelcrest is 30.2%. I know you're embarrassed. I know you're concerned. So I'm going to ask you to do what you always do. Organize, galvanize, and walk the streets, knocking on doors, making sure folk get their vaccinations. Listen, we need all hands on deck. This is Straight Talk Radio.
Featuring My Community Plan Foundation.
It is our world as we see it, and we will be right back after these few short messages.
It all starts with one meal, one cup of fresh water, one generous person. Zakat Foundation of America puts humanity above all else, working to help as many people as possible with food security, emergency relief, education, and much more. From Chicago to Bridgeview, California to New York, Cambodia to Colombia, Zakat Foundation of America has been on the ground for nearly 20 years to provide immediate and sustainable aid so people in need can become self-reliant. Visit zakat.org for more information. That's zakat.org. Since 1994, New Life Health Food has been committed to providing affordable, healthy lifestyle options to the people of Chicago. We're already known as the home of the $1 alkaline water refill. We are now the home of CMOS, including gel, liquid, powder, capsules, raw, and gummies. We're located in Chicago at 3141 West Roosevelt Road. Call 773-762-1090 or go to nlhealthchicago.com and use the discount code for 10% off.
YWCA Metropolitan Chicago has partnered with a global manufacturing company seeking to fill open positions in their South Suburban location. No experience required. If interested, contact 773-902-8989. Email cbcf@ywcachicago.org.
Hi, I'm Gracia, host of Next Gen, and you're listening to my dad, Reverend Mitchell L. Johnson, host of Straight Talk Radio featuring my Community Plan Foundation.
On WVON 1690 AM.
Welcome back to Straight Talk Radio.
Featuring my Community Plan Foundation.
It is the world as we see it, and before I go to our guest, I've got to say this. I know that lovely voice you heard was my youngest daughter, and we're so very proud of her having gotten accepted into the Chicago Academy of Performing Arts. We're looking for great things. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Madam President, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So listen,
congratulations to your daughter. Congratulations.
I know she's listening, and she's probably smiling right now. Listen, Maureen Moore-Forte is in East Hazel Crest, not Hazel Crest. And
Hazel Crest has 27.7%.
So it's nothing to be proud of.
No.
So listen, if you were motivated to join us in this effort, now you have more motivation, and we're going to put out a scorecard. Mm-hmm. We're going to put out a scorecard for all of these communities, and we're going to chart our progress in August. We are not going to work in vain. Mm-hmm. We just will not do that. And by the third week in August, if it's God's will and the creek don't rise, when Madam President is back on the program, I need her to be able to say those numbers from last month have risen.
That's right.
We've got better numbers.
We got to encourage that. I heard that in her voice, the disappointment. But we got to encourage us. So let the numbers change come August. By the third week of August, I agree with you. Right. But and I'm challenging every minister, every community leader, every activist, every father, every mother,
every pastor,
every child,
every preacher,
anyone who
every bishop.
Talk about citizen that could actually be able to say, "Hey, have you been vaccinated?" or take themselves to a vaccination center.
Look, don't let Next Gen and Young Money and the young folk outwork those of us who know better.
Yes.
Yep. Listen, let's go to some action stuff here. Madam President, I apologize, but I'm just moved by these numbers in the wrong way.
That's all right. I want to encourage people. I don't want my frustration to be the last word here. I want to encourage people to get vaccinated and if you are vaccinated, talk to everybody you know about the importance of vaccination. It's what we can do for ourselves and each other to make our community safer. So it's a really important step that each of us can take for ourselves and our community.
We will be embarking on this work, organizing CPR, already wonderfully organized. God bless you, Pastor Pencil, Pastor Obayo, Pastor, great leadership team over
That's
there.
right. Dr. Wiley,
Pastor Wiley did a great job emceeing, actually.
That's right. And Talabi.
And he didn't sing, which is really good.
Yeah, Pastor Talabi. Those are some of the leaders of the CPR.
Yes,
right.
Members of MCP, and I'm so grateful. Pastor Oliver absolutely said yes. What is Pastor Oliver is out there in Homewood, isn't he?
No, he's
while you're checking I
Olympia
think
Fields.
Olympia Fields.
We're gonna run out of time, so that we don't.
Okay, let's talk about some jobs. We got some cliff notes we want to get to.
Yes.
Madam President, we want to talk about this community planning process.
Well, we're engaged in a process to try to figure out how to use our American Rescue Plan dollars, which I referred to earlier, and we've got a group focused on equity, about 50 members, to help us. We created initially to support our equity fund. In last year's budget, we put $100 million into a fund to support equity around fair transit, and we've talked about that before, to the south suburbs and the south side, reducing fares and increasing service on metro lines. We put money into economic development. We put money into criminal justice reform. We created our equity task force to help us, to guide us in the distribution of those resources, and we've now converted that task force into helping us create guidelines and help us develop the framework for our American Rescue Plan dollars. So, again, this is an equity task force, and we're turning to them for guidance as we try to figure out how to spend our American Rescue Plan dollars.
So I know you and I agree. There are certainly spaces we don't necessarily agree. But here's one where we do. We both agree that the way to prevent crime is a job.
Exactly. When I was at the Chicago Jobs Council, which is a not-for-profit that focuses on employment issues, in the late 80s, I read a book called All Our Children, and it was a part of a federal, let's see, I think I got it here. All right, All Our Children, the American Family Under Pressure. So this is the 1980s, right? And we know that the American family remains under pressure. And the main message of the book was, the best thing, it was late 70s, I'm wrong. It wasn't the 1980s, copyright 1977. Okay. The main message of the book was the best thing you can do for kids in this country is be sure that their parents are employed, that they have economic stability and security, and that comes, of course, from employment. So I have a number of employment opportunities that I want to share with you. CVS Health and Walgreens are both looking for workers. And again, this is access through the web, www.cvshealth.com/careers. That's www.cvshealth.com/careers. For Walgreens, it's https://jobs.walgreens.com. So again, Walgreens and CVS are looking for workers. Amazon.com/Chicago hourly jobs. Amazon.com/Chicago hourly jobs. And PepsiCo. PepsiCo, not only can you find it in all our stores, but we actually have places in Cook County where they make the stuff. So PepsiCojobs.com/Maine. PepsiCo, PEPSICO, jobs.com/Maine. So those are four opportunities that we know. CVS reports that they're going to be hiring folks. Let's see, Amazon is looking for a couple hundred people, as is PepsiCo. I mean, there are lots of job opportunities from these four references. So I encourage people to take advantage of that.
So I know these websites, this information, and how to access the information is going to be posted in real time on our. It's being posted right now. As you know, Madam President, when OK is in studio, just talk slow and clear because he's posting as you're speaking.
I got it.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
I got CVS, I got Walgreens, I got Amazon, I got PepsiCo.
There's some Amazon?
There we go. Yep. All right, good. That's it.
And that is the action. The action is, listen, this is 2 months in a row where we have been able to talk about jobs in real time.
That's right.
Yep.
In fact, and we'll do it again when we finish our next workforce development initiative. Last year, we had 10,000 jobs at the end of our workforce development programs in MCP. So we're continuing the action portion of Madam President's presence on Straight Talk Radio. For that, we are eternally grateful. we look forward to being with you again in August. And I understand we're going to have a conversation this week with you and or your staff, and we're going to coordinate this effort and make a difference in Cook County. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for your information, education, and motivation. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Cook County Board President Toni Preckwinkle. Give her a round of applause. Say hey, hey, hey,
Thank you.
hey, hey.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Always good to have her on the program. But I just want to circle back around before we stop for the top of the hour and go back to the African hour with Pumzeli Mazabuku. So Maureen Moore-Forte noted that many of her constituents are elderly. So we're going to have to figure out, and Maureen, I know you're going to join us in this effort. You always do. So
if they are residential seniors, those are the kinds of people. The Cook County Department of Health has a mobile vaccination unit that they can go to residential housing where there's a whole lot of people and who will pre-register, and they will come in and give them the shot in their they don't have to come out. And so if there are events that people are hosting that where they think they will have at least a sizable number of people, at least 25, that's what they say on their website, they're willing to come out. So people
say that one more time, because
if you have an event that is going on within Cook
go
County,
ahead and create an event. If you have it, forget if you have an event.
Create an event.
And now I'm talking to my elected officials.
That's right.
I'm talking to my commissioners, who I love to life. I'm talking to my aldermen.
Yes.
I'm talking to the park district. Dad, blame it. There's no if you have an event. Create an event.
That's the point.
Identify where the numbers are and create an event. And the Cook County has the resources and the mobile vaccination unit, and they'll come right to you.
Yes.
So I dare you. I double dare you. Maureen, you know I love you to life. I dare you to have an event in 2 weeks where your elderly are. I double dare you. I'm talking right now to Alderman Ramon Williams in Calumet City. Ramon, in Calumet City, man, you're at 25.7%. Look, I double dare you in the 7th Ward, Anthony Smith. You got 5 elderly homes, elderly centers. I triple dare you. Come on, Ramon, Anthony. Go on, don't say if, do it. Do the dad blame thing. 15%. I'm embarrassed with you. Not for you. I'm embarrassed with you. I mean, we're laughing, but it's just not funny. Sauk Village has 18%.
And the Delta variant, it's not what we've seen before. From what we hear, it's more infectious.
It is more transferable.
That's right. And the concern that we have is that now this pressure is on for the children to go back to school.
Yep.
If we don't vaccinate the children, then they're going to now spread it around and bring it back home.
Well, there will be no school for a while. They will be home, and the parents will have to stay home to take care of the kids.
So we go back to the same cycle.
Internet, and we're working on it. I mean, the Cook County is working on it, but it's not there yet.
We have pilot programs right now in queue to identify 100 to 1,000 churches in Cook County and put the canopies in their parking lots along with hotspots. And we already have Motorola.
Well, we don't want to use that. That's a backup option. We will rather
What
have
are you
the
talking
kids
about?
in school.
We want them in school, but we also want broadband in those communities. We're talking two different initiatives.
Got it.
So there's no backup. Listen, this is Straight Talk Radio.
Featuring My Community Plan Foundation.
It is our world as we see it.
We'll be back after the series of announcements. Give us about 5.5, no more than 6 minutes. And we'll be back with the Africa Hour.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation. 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
The Black Perspective, a weekly community affairs program on the Black Information Network, featuring interviews and discussions on issues important to the Black